Ladies and gentlemen of the internet, it's great to be back, and today we're going to be continuing the village transformation, and this time I'd like to add the butcher's house and some other really awesome details. So grab your snacks and drinks and crush that like button the way Gordon Ramsay crushes people's dreams, because I've got a good one planned for you guys today, and without any further ado, let's get right into it. And when I say it's good to be back, I really mean it, because I've been out of town for a couple of days, and if I'm completely honest, I've really missed playing Minecraft in this world. And so through the intense process of thinking about it for about 2 seconds, I've decided that we're going to put the butcher's shop right here. And just looking at this piece of land right here, I kind of feel like we should do it on a diagonal, but I'm not sure yet. But ladies and gentlemen, there are a few other things we need to take care of here in the village, namely this plot right here. And I've actually decided exactly what I want to do, because in the original villages, there are these small flower boxes that you see. All they are is pretty much just 3 grass blocks next to each other with some trap doors and a few flowers. And so I'm thinking it's not going to be too difficult to improve it, but this does definitely give us the perfect thing to do in an intro time lapse. And so without any further ado, good people, let's do what we always do and roll that intro time lapse. Oh yeah. And to start us off with this one, I stuck very loosely to the original concept, and instead of making a small flower box, I made a bit of an enclosed rose garden. And since the only trees we have in the area are the palm trees around the oasis and the one oak in the sheep enclosure, I decided to add another tree here in the middle. And eventually we're probably going to have to add a lot more trees to the area, because adding greenery to wherever you're building makes it a lot more alive, and it just looks a lot better in the end. So I added a couple small trees and stuck to a red theme, since we haven't really been using red flowers in this area. It's mostly been pink. And since stone and oak are our main building blocks here, we do need to add a lot more color. And we're going to check out some of the details here in just a sec, but next up I decided to put my beacon together, because last episode I talked about the fact that I want to build some kind of sewer underneath the well. Maybe we can connect this sewer up to some of the basements in the houses, or perhaps the castle. You guys are definitely going to have to let me know what we can do with this sewer system. But very shortly after I started digging this hole here, I completely missed the fact that it started to turn nighttime. And so I put on my bravest face and I decided I was going to defend my villagers. And then this happened. Now that didn't exactly go according to plan, did it? Sorry about that, sir. Let me just fix your door right there. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, that wasn't exactly supposed to happen. I'm gonna have to have a clock in my inventory from now on, because it's getting way too dangerous around here. But anyway, let me show you exactly what I was doing before I got so rudely interrupted. And so what I've done here is I raised the cauldron up a block, and I put a fence gate here so that we can hop down. And so this little area right here is gonna be the cross section and entrance to the sewer. And so like I was saying right before I was cut off by, murder, you guys definitely need to tell me what we're going to do down here, what we're going to connect it to. But for now, let's just take a quick look at this area where I added the flower beds here. And like I mentioned earlier, I felt we kind of needed to mix up the colors a little bit, so I added a lot of red, including the nether vines here that I think look really, really good. I so wish you could put these at the bottom of leaves, but you can't, so unfortunately we can't make them look like fruits growing from the actual branches. But I think this looks fine and makes it look a little bit more interesting. And if we take a look at this place from the sky up here, you'll see that it adds a lot of color to the place. And speaking of adding to this place, I think it's time we add the butcher's house. You guys may have noticed that I picked the villager professions that have to do with one another a little bit, and so I went with the butcher here because we did the leatherworker last episode, and so I think it makes sense to have the butcher here right by the animals, for reasons that you guys don't need to worry about whatsoever. Why are you looking at me like that, cow? Anyway, I talked earlier about the fact that I want to do this on a diagonal, and I think that's our best option because we've got a pretty big plot right here. So I think this is going to be the shape I go with. It's 9 blocks on the long side, and the short side is 6 blocks. So oddly enough, for diagonal buildings, I always recommend you do an even amount of blocks for the short side of your house. And I know this sounds kind of contradictory because usually it's so much easier to build with an odd number of blocks, but you guys are just going to have to trust me on this one, okay? As usual, we're going to need kind of a basic box shape here, and I'll bring you guys right back in as soon as I've got that down. Okay, as you can see, I've got all the texturing in that we need to do for the bottom floor here. And what we usually do at this stage is knock out a few spaces for doors, and I think this is going to be the shop front. And we'll probably have some add-on over here. So that leaves this space over here to have the main entrance. And I'm gonna be honest, this is a pretty awkward situation to be in for a main entrance, but I think we can deal with this. All we have to do is add a couple doors like that, and then we'll do some trapdoors. Honestly, just something like this should do the trick. I think that's a pretty good entrance. I mean, we get a slight little angle here, and you guys know exactly how much I like arches and A-frames and all that stuff. But over here, I think we'll do double doors. Double doors is cooler than the single doors. One door equals bad, more door equals good, and as you guys know, one does not simply stumble into Mordor. But we'll add some kind of awning like this for this area as well, but I think we need to add the next layer to be able to put in any more detail. And so normally what I'd recommend is that you actually pop out your house like this on any medieval style. But on our diagonal, I don't think we're going to be able to do this, so I'm just going to increase the height a little bit and show you guys what I get up to. Alrighty, now we've got something like this, and as you can see, obviously we don't have any windows, but for this part right here, I did something very similar as we did over here. On this side, you can see that we've got 3 pillars like this, and then we've got the stripped oak in the middle, 3 blocks, just like over there. And so now we got to think about these windows, and the floor level is going to be up here so that we've got 3 blocks of height on the bottom floor. So we got to knock out these top blocks, and we have to go full glass blocks for this since we're on a diagonal. And this is going to look a bit strange and asymmetrical first, but once we put the frame around this, I think it should come out pretty well. So let's see what we can do. Previously, we've been using jungle to accent these, so maybe if we just do something simple like this, it'll make our window a little bit smaller, but that'll probably be a good thing, to be honest. Yeah, I like that. That's gonna look good once we have the roof and everything too, so let's just put this in everywhere. And on these sides here is where it gets tricky, because we could either do one big window here, or we could do 2 small ones on the side. I think we want to go 2, since we'll put 1 up top there. I think that looks pretty awesome, and we'll put the other window in once we put the actual A-frame on there. I think that'll make it a lot easier, because I've got something to show you guys when it comes to that. Hold on just a second. If you're a leather worker, and all my other leather workers are the sand villagers, except the guy who's trapped inside the leather worker shop, that means you've chosen the cauldron that's in the well as your workstation. That's pretty cool. Next up, we've got the roof here, I guess, and diagonal roofs can be kind of awkward to do, but I think I got this on lock, guys. Dude, it takes like an IQ of 3 to open a door, so you're not even a nitwit, man. Come on. Yeah, buddy, you're pretty 3-head for a guy who looks like he's a 5-head. Next up, we got to do the roof here, and we can't really do the exact same thing we've been doing over here and just use the normal stairs, because that's not quite gonna work on a diagonal like this. But what we are going to be able to do is use the exact same system here with spruce bordering and then the oak on the inside. And so if we just start right here, we can border this off with some slabs. Nothing super fancy about this, just temporary blocks and patience. Alright, roof is in, looks pretty wonky so far, and the reason for that is because we don't actually have the A-frame in right here. I left that for a reason. That was a pretty clean landing. I think the best way we can do this is probably just go stair like that, get up on this level, stair like that, do the exact same thing on the other side here. And then right here in the middle, we can just go with some slabs like so, and we can in fact just slab all this up. And so far that looks pretty good, but I don't really like the way we can see the oak from this side, and so I think trap doors are again the answer. Trap doors are usually the answer, to be honest. And so if I can stick the landing, nice. We can just put 1 trap door there, 1 trapdoor right there, and 1 trapdoor there. And if my calculations are correct, then this should look pretty good. Let's give it a look. Yes. Okay, I like that a lot. This way we kind of get the same effect as over there with the spruce trim. Yeah, I think this looks awesome. But we can't just leave this like this. We do need a window up there, and we want to make it pretty nice and grand. So let's just pillar up a bit here so we can reach. And so I think we want our window right here, and we do need to clean up a little bit inside there. But if we put our window down like this, so if we just knock these out like this, maybe we can put some jungle right here, jungle, and do just something like this. Maybe we can even add a spruce slab where we can put a flower pot. Yeah, I think this is looking really, really solid. So I'm going to do the same thing to the other side, and then we can move on to some more of the details. Okay. I gotcha. We need to light it up inside. Not today, creeper. I really feel like I should have learned my lesson from earlier in the episode, but you know what? Some of us just aren't fast learners, I guess. But aside from that minor inconvenience in the form of a creeper, this side's looking good. Guys, chimney, always important, but we've been over it tons and tons of times in this series already. The only thing I'd say about this one is that you want to leave a little bit of space in between here and here. It wouldn't look so hot if this chimney was like right up against this block right here, coming up like this, so I gave it a bit of space to breathe, and I think this is the perfect spot for it. The only other important thing I'd say about chimneys is that you kind of want to put them over top where you have your actual fireplace indoors. So you got to do a bit of thinking about how your interior is going to pan out, because in this case, I've got two windows right here, so it wouldn't make sense to put it to the side, because if I did, my fireplace would be blocking a window, and that wouldn't make sense at all. So if we have the fireplace right here indoors, it's all going to work out. Okay, so next up, I want to worry about the shop front right here, and I think another way we can add some color into the village here is just putting down some wool like this. And if we're going to be able to put some carpet down right here, we are going to need a ton of string, and then we should just be able to place it down like so. I mean, the red does stand out a lot right there, but once we have a lot more colors going on around the village here, it shouldn't be as bad. You know, sometimes just adding some greenery like this is really what's needed. I think this looks really, really awesome. But what's going to happen on the inside here is we're probably going to put a wall right here so that we can make a staircase that goes upstairs, so the shop isn't going to be that big. And so I think we're going to extend this part outwards a bit. Maybe just something like this to make it a bit bigger. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I think just something like this. We obviously need to add the window in here, and then we need to make an entrance, but this should give us a bit more space here on the interior at least. And a door, and that is looking pretty good. You know, it just kind of gives this place a little bit more personality. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I've made a few changes here to the house, and in fact, I've done the entire interior, and we're going to take a look at that pretty soon here, but as you can see, I've got a clock in my inventory, and that means I've gathered the courage to give this sewer project a second go. So if we hop down here, you can see it looks pretty plain and boring right now, and I guess for now, we can just hang these right here so that we can see what we're doing. Otherwise, this isn't going to look so good on YouTube, but I've got myself tons of materials here that I want to texture these walls up with. So let me just get this floor in here and I'll come back to you guys and tell you what's gonna be happening. Okay, as you can see here, we've got a pretty simple design in for the floor. We've just mixed in some stone bricks. And I think I want to do something special with the ceiling as well. We'll do a vaulted design because it doesn't look so good just being a cube like this. Come on, let me sleep the night away. Ah, there we go. Yes. It's always good to come prepared, guys. As you guys can see, we've got a nice arched ceiling going here, and I did texture in some stone bricks into the wall, and I feel like it would look really nice if we added some of these cracked ones as well. Yes, indeed. I feel like that's looking absolutely perfect. And at this point, I think it's time we put in the water. So let's see if we can create some infinite water sources here. Okay, that worked. That's perfect. And we want it to look pretty mucky down here, so I'm bringing with me some bone meal and some other stuff so that we can get some seagrass, but maybe not quite this much. We'll thin it out a little bit. Maybe we'll add some lily pads here and there just to make it look a bit more overgrown. I think this is looking pretty good, guys, and obviously we need these archways to actually lead somewhere, so you guys need to tell me in the comments what we're going to connect them to, but I am pretty happy with this for right now. Now, next up, we need to give this guy a job, and that's why I have these 3 smokers on me, because the only detail I've left out of the house here is the actual profession block here, the workstation. And so I think it's time we take a look at the interior of the house here. And the first thing we need to take a look at is the fact that I changed the exterior a little bit back here. I added this section that comes out. You'll see just why here in a bit. I think we'll start with the living quarters for now. And so if we walk right through here, we've got this first little entry section. If you guys know anything about building on diagonals, it's that staircases are awful to build. So we just have some storage right here. And if you walk up the stairs, we've got a nice little living room. Obviously, we're still waiting for the candles to come out here in the game, but we've got some nice views. And if we walk through the door here, we get to the kitchen, a very simple kitchen. And this is the first spot where I wanted to put a smoker. So if we're lucky here, maybe we're going to get a villager come running in. But I love how the kitchen has an awesome view of the little oasis out here. And once we have buildings all the way around and the field stretching over, it's going to look so fantastic. But if we come around this way, we have a little bedroom. I added a couple more beds just so that our village doesn't get too overpopulated. And then if we come up the ladder here, I made a bit of an attic. Basically just putting down a ton of chests and these unlit campfires, some cobwebs. I think it looks pretty attic-y, what can I say? But if you got some extra space in your house that you need to fill, an attic or a basement is always a really, really good idea. Next up, we have the actual butcher's shop here. So if we walk in, we have a few meats on display here, some chicken and some pork and some rabbit. And since the butcher's slaughtering the animals, I decided to put some of the animal hides up here and the rabbit's foot, of course. And if we come around, we actually have to take the door back here. We've got a few unlit campfires here with some of the meats. I think this looks pretty awesome as a display, but I wanted to put a couple smokers here just to see if we can get a guy to come in the door here. And just like our leatherworker villager, maybe we can trap him in here as a shopkeeper of sorts. But this is the extension I added. There's barely any space, but I don't know. I really didn't have that much space back here, but I think it makes sense to have a bit of storage hanging like this. Come on, buddy. We're going to find you a profession. Please step in the boat. My theory is that if we boat this guy closer to the smokers, maybe he's going to turn into a butcher. We're just going to have to see. Okay, if we're lucky here, he walks right through the door and into the butcher's shop here. If I can break it. Okay, that's promising. That's not so promising. Okay, he's doing it. He's doing it. Please choose the door. Yeah, you can do it. You can do it, buddy. I know trapdoors are confusing, Mr. Villager. I understand. You don't count them as real blocks. Okay, at least you took the job. We now have a butcher. Yeah, I know you're happy about it, but I'm thinking maybe we have to change up these trap doors because it's not really working out for us, is it? But guys, I'm so excited about how this village is turning out. It is growing by the episode so much. And hold on a minute, there's a villager stuck up here? Oh, buddy, there's nobody coming to save you. Now that is just downright unfortunate, but what isn't is how this town is looking, so I'm going to give you guys a little look with some shaders. Guys, in the next episode, we're going to add the fisherman's house to the village and make some huge changes, so I hope you're as excited for that as I am. We're still so early in the process of making this village, and I'm so happy with how it's turning out, but you guys know the drill. When we get to the end of the video, if you watched it all the way, then you're the champ, and I appreciate your existence. And until we see each other next time, have a good one.